for the family and nothing I wouldn't do. They know what I'm going, no matter who. Stairs vacant, I'm plotting my next move. Shot my niggas is getting this stacking blue. Tell them watch for the jackers and undercovers. All the snitches and bitches that say they like it. Not a trapper, I die, but it wasn't me. Streets of snatch, I had you on somebody's teeth. Shot my nigga, they left him for dead. Hard to kill them, we come for revenge. Told them something won't happen again. 40 caliber, one in the head. Let them curses come blessings instead. Ain't no waters that I couldn't tread. You end up if your brothers ain't fed. At the table, we breaking the bread, yeah. Crown royal, I don't chase it. She ain't loyal, I replace it. Try and play me like I'm basic. I see clearly like LASIK. If it's a challenge, I embrace it. Don't test me, then I ace it. Show my mandolin, watch me lace it. Lawless going crazy. I said a law of vendettas. Prove y'all wrong, my pleasure. Enemies use all measures, yeah. If you knew better, do better. Follow my lead, trendsetter. We certified go-getters, yeah. Me and my niggas. We don't talk shit, talk business, yeah. Ride to the finish. Only one try, we giving, yeah. One hand winning. Don't smoke to the sky, no ceilings, yeah. I'll be there in a minute. The pedal to the floor, we living, yeah. Drawbacks is a small cause for the dream, yeah. Fall back, never fall off, I've been scheming. All facts, we been long gone from the scene, yeah. Cooking up beam, yeah. Serving up fiends, yeah. Money machine, yeah. Building up steam, yeah. Talking, I seen that. Not on that screen, yeah. Nubian queen, yeah. All of my DM, what it's gonna be, yeah. Yeah. I said a law of vendettas. Prove y'all wrong, my pleasure. Enemies use all measures, yeah. If you knew better, do better. Follow my lead, trendsetter. We certified go-getters, yeah.
No worries, welcome.
Yeah. Ride to the finish. Only one try, we giving, yeah. One hand willing. Don't smoke to the sky, no ceilings, yeah. I'll be there in a minute. The pedal to the floor, we living, yeah. Me and my niggas. We don't talk shit, talk business, yeah. Ride to the finish. Only one try, we giving, yeah. One hand willing. Don't smoke to the sky, no ceilings, yeah. I'll be there in a minute. The pedal to the floor, we living, yeah. Better late than never, I suppose. I've been sleeping on this gold. Now I'm woken, boy, I'm fucking on it. Pulling shit together with my bro. Yeah, he keep me on my toes. So we cooking cause we fucking hungry. She just want a nigga with some goals. But this world so fucking cold. When she find love, won't know how to hold it. I've been feeling anxious on the low. I just leave it to the most. Life's a gamble and we never folding. Better yet, I welcome every wager and he take us from a line. Watch me make your money mine. Someone told me time is money, but see really that's a lie. Cause that dollar I can get it back for seconds, they go by. But don't get it twisted, I'm with it if it's by the check. I need compensation and all deposits come direct. Baby needed some shoes, lady need her a house. But I ain't counting the seconds, I'm just making it count. I woke up and decided to let them talk and I'ma be about it. And through it all, girl, I'ma be a rider for you. That's why I'm out here trying to change a dollar to two. And for the record, it's way more deep than what you expected. I'm playing chess when they saying king me, I'm yelling check me. I'm moving with a purpose and it's such a blessing. And in the end, it's worth it cause there's no regretting. I'm having a breakthrough. Break rules, yeah, that's something that the greats do. Ooh, don't ever let the evil take you. Yeah, I'm at the top and it's a break. They'll get it into the last straw. Oh, you know today could be your last call. I don't ask permission, I blast off. Any and everything to go in and everything. Yeah. I'm living proof for you doing you. They gon' love you what they want. That's for them to choose. It don't matter if they don't. Lord help them, I try myself, but they out of reach. I count my blessings and say my prayers before I go to sleep. I get it, come home and shower, rinse and repeat. And cutting ties with any nigga dragging his feet. I'm cutting a line a couple times, I'm trying to eat. When you align, you never mind opinion and sheet. You wanna know that struggle, look into my eyes. You wanna know that pain, look into my eyes. You wanna know that feeling that you feel when it's a million reasons telling you to quit, but instead you rise. You're guaranteed to lose if you never try. And this is something I refuse to the day I die. Yeah, I find a purpose and it's such a blessing. And in the end it's worth it cause it's no regret. I'm having a breakthrough. Break rules, yeah, that's something that the greats do. Ooh, don't ever let the evil take you. Yeah, I'm at the top and it's a break it and get it into the last straw. You know today could be your last call. I don't ask permission, I blast off. Any and everything's a go, yeah. I'm having a breakthrough. Break rules, yeah, that's something that the greats do. Ooh, don't ever let the evil take you. Yeah, I'm at the top and it's a break it and get it into the last straw. You know today could be your last call. I don't ask permission, I blast off. Any and everything's a go,
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Uninformed Fan. I am your host, as always, Business Time. With me, my good friend and partner, Off the Schneid. Jeffrey, how are we doing today?
We're doing wonderful today. I will say the sun is shining, the weather's beautiful.
It's cold.
Still no birds chirping, but we're trying to work on that right now. I just put a bird feeder outside just so I can be in the same exact zone that you are when we sync up and start to do this show, you know?
You know, the world is a much better place when the birds are chirping. And right now, unfortunately, in Florida, I think that they might be frozen to the trees. It is a little chilly here, and it's going to be a little chilly tonight as well. And
are you nervous about tonight at all in the weather? And, like, how our wives are going to stand up to this?
After coming from the Bears-Packers in December in Chicago, no. I'm not worried about that. However,
I'm worried about yours. I'm worried about mine though a little bit.
I'm worried about overdressing myself. That's all it is. But you can always word of the wise. You can always peel.
Yeah.
You can't add. You can always peel.
Gotcha.
The more you know.
I'll make sure to pass that message along.
The more
she's not watching right now.
The more you know. That was the play in Chicago. It worked out well. I didn't even wear my jacket the whole time. My cousin's son, he did not, and he paid the price. But then he was also trying to be like, you know, he didn't want to take the jacket, even though I offered the jacket, because, you know, sometimes you just got to admit defeat and take the jacket.
That's the kind of guy you are, bro. That's the guy that you are, though.
Shirt off my back.
The only benefit for me is that because of the tickets that I got, I might be
able to
go inside to the warmth and back out. You know, and, you know, if we get too cold, we can always go inside, you know, into that little beautiful area they call the Hyundai Club or whatever it is. I'm not really sure, but I'm excited to go. It's gonna be a good time for sure. How was your weekend? I know your wife was out of town this weekend. First
of all, I'm very excited that you're getting a little taste of the high life, and I cheers to you. I'm very excited for you because I just am. I'm just so happy for you.
I know. I know you
are. Yeah, the wife was out of town. Well, it's been an interesting, you know, weekend. Obviously, on Friday, the air conditioner broke in the man cave, which we are back live in the man cave. So we had to get that fixed. Then the refrigerator broke, so I had to get a new refrigerator. And so I was moving a lot of food items back and forth to the garage. And then it was a whole lot of football. A lot of Uber Eats, you know. Oops, sorry if you're listening.
Okay.
A lot of Uber Eats, you know, just, you know, kick back, relax with the dogs, and had a good weekend, you know. I enjoy this kind of weather. It's a nice break, you know, from waking up and going out of your house at 7:30 in the morning and sweating instantly. So I'm really enjoying the weather. So I had a good weekend. How about yourself? I know it was your child's birthday. I know there's a big birthday party.
Yeah, big birthday party. Let's see. Saturday was great. Saturday, you know, just kind of hung out, watched football, enjoyed two really good games. Sunday, woke up. We had his birthday party yesterday at Main Event. Thank you to everybody who came out, family, friends, showed love and support. We appreciate you guys. He got lots of presents, lots of stuff. I don't know if you can see all the plushies behind me on the bed right now. The entire bed is full of plushies.
Were those all won at the event?
One? Those were all purchased.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. No, there was no winning anything there yesterday, except for hopefully some football bets if you had, you know, the over in the Bills game and, you know, something like that. But other than that, yeah, pretty much that was it. interesting. You know, being food service people and going to establishments like that, sometimes you tend to get very, very frustrated when it's tough and, you know, management is poorly run situations and stuff like that. But we made it through. You know, nothing that Reposado can't fix for us, you know, to keep us happy and lighten our feet. And, you know, here we are today.
Tequila is a hell of a liquid.
It is beautiful. I've just recently discovered tequila, and it has changed my life.
You know, well, Merck's got me on that on the Clase Azul, and you know that's
Okay.
just some stuff.
I will tell you this. I've tried. When we went to Mexico back in November, I literally tried the best tequila I could from everywhere that we went, anywhere that we were. Right, and we did the 1942. I've done the Sincoro. I've done the Extra Añejo. I've done the top of the top of the top. Clase Azul is the best tequila there is out, and you can't tell me anything different.
We need to get
stuff is so delicious, dude.
we need to get you linked up with Big Mike, and we can do another one of those Disney Mexico tours in Epcot with the specialty
Totally.
reserves.
Yeah, that $600 a shot tequila.
That's right.
I mean, listen, after two, I can't really taste the difference.
Maybe some Clase Azul reserve and caviar.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's say we talk some football here. We had
Let's
a
do
lot.
it, bro. Let's dive right into it. Let's go.
A lot of good games. Let's start just taking right from the top. Seattle, San Francisco.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, Seattle did show up for the first half. But I think it was kind of what we talked about a little bit before. Brock Purdy, you know, just having those rookie nerves out there. He missed a couple passes that he normally doesn't miss. But my goodness, he came back the second half and they just slaughtered the Seattle Seahawks. Wow. I mean, wow. I just sat back and enjoyed the show for the second half. There was really nothing else to talk about as far as other than who is going to stop the San Francisco 49ers, because it sure as hell wasn't the Seahawks.
I don't know. And, you know, as somebody, I had, so I took the over in this game, but I parlayed it with Seattle catching the points because, you know, I figured it'd be a back and forth game. And in the first half, you look like a genius, right? You're starting to buy drinks. You're spending the money already. You know, this is all good and well. And then, man, Brock Purdy, that kid's the real deal, huh? I mean, I didn't know coming in, right? I said, is the glass slipper going to fall off? Is the clock going to strike midnight? Are we going to see that story, you know, unfortunately dissipate? He didn't show anything to make us think that it will.
No.
He was a little shaky in the very beginning, but honestly, they were still moving the ball. I think Seattle only stopped him like one time the entire day.
I think I only recall him missing one or two passes, that he missed.
I mean, between Greenlaw and Warner, I mean, that two linebacker tandem is just absolutely absurd. They are really, really good. They struggled. San Francisco struggled a little bit in the secondary. I don't know if that's just because DK was doing DK Metcalf things and making plays all over the field. He usually doesn't perform that great against them, but he had a fantastic game. If you're Seattle, do you keep Gino next year? Where do you go from here through the Seahawks? Because obviously nobody expected this to happen for them this year, and they turned around and they've done great. I was questioning Pete Carroll's coaching acumen, you know, personally.
Acumen.
And now we've seen what they listen. There was a word that we had to check off.
Acumen.
We got it in there. We're absolutely.
Is there
on our
a
way
dictionary
now.
in front of you right now?
There's not. I told you I haven't had coffee. I'm not on a lot of sleep right now, so this is just, you know, here we are. But yeah, what do you do if you're Seattle, man? Do you go back and do you go back to Geno for another year, or do you move on? Do you try to go get a Derek Carr? Like where do you think they go?
Well, the early reports is that Pete Carroll's already come out and said that they do want Geno back. However, I do believe that it would behoove the Seattle Seahawks to start looking towards the quarterback of the future. And like you were saying, you know, there's some quarterbacks in this draft. You're probably not going to get them. You know, now we're talking about C.J. Stroud actually going back to Ohio State. So
I think that's a huge mistake if C.J. Stroud does that. I could not advise him any more against that decision.
Well, I mean,
Why are you gonna?
the rumor is it's 15 to 20 million NIL money. I mean, I mean, that's what I'm saying. These NIL and this NIL
These
rumors
are ridiculous. They're ridiculous.
But I mean, that's actually from a pretty verified source. I don't know. So anyway, I think that the Seahawks. I think you take Geno again. I mean, he ended up a top 5 quarterback in fantasy stats this year. He's going to be a bargain. You could probably get him on like a 2-year deal. See what you have, build some other pieces around, and then continue to draft. Now, I think what the more intriguing scenario, I do have a soft spot for Geno Buff. I do. The more intriguing thing I think is San Francisco. Okay, so now you have Brock Purdy. Is he your quarterback of the future? Okay, you got Jimmy G and you got Trey Lance right above you that you traded up to get Trey. But now, how do you turn away from Brock Purdy? And if that's the case, how much, my goodness, how much trade bait do you have? You could trade Jimmy. You could trade Lance. I mean, I don't know.
Jimmy's a free agent.
Oh, is Jimmy a free agent after this year? Okay.
Yeah, I believe Jimmy G's a free agent after this year.
I don't foresee. I don't know. I do foresee the San Francisco Niners bringing them both back next year and having a competition. However, I don't think that that's a good play. I think you look obviously to see what's going on the rest of the year, but one of these quarterbacks has got to be trade bait. And for a team that's already just stacked on positional skill players, I mean, how much more can you get?
So if I'm the Niners, obviously you're going to ride Brock Purdy out the rest of the time. If he wins the Super Bowl, he's your quarterback. That's it. You're going to trade Trey Lance and move on. I don't know if Brock Purdy can play better than what Brock Purdy is playing. I don't know what that looks like, because he's playing at such a high and elite level right now. We'll see. We will see. We'll see who they end up playing next week. Obviously, we're both going to hope that it's going to be the Bucs heading back out to San Francisco for redemption, and Brady getting to redo that San Fran debacle that happened. He's gonna have all the family out there again. I just feel like it's almost like a storybook that you can't write if it ends up working out and happening like this, where they beat Dallas tonight, they go back and he gets redemption against Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, and the San Francisco 49ers in front of his hometown. It'll be interesting.
Like I said, I think we kind of figured the first half, because as also in the last podcast, I said the same thing. Seattle plus 10 is the play. That San Francisco's defense is a little suspect, and they did give up some of those in the front half. But I was just so impressed of how they locked down the second half. I mean, that was absolutely.
The second half was domination.
And then the next game, the game that I was really, really looking forward to, that did not disappoint, Chargers versus the Jags. And I came out, I said, I think that the Jags were going to win. I think that they were going to get down in the first half because Trevor Lawrence is going to have nerves. He's going to be, making some bad decisions. And lo and behold, 4 interceptions in the first. However, as you know from me texting back and forth, I didn't think that they were coming back from that hole. I mean, 27-0. I wrote him off. I said, this game's over. My good friend Jeffrey said, it's not over. I said, it's over. And, wow. I mean, I was rooting for the Jags the whole way. Just wow. I mean, Herbert looked great in the first half. The Jags defense just, my goodness. I mean, they just stepped up in the second half. They shut him down. The Trevor Lawrence was having his way. He was seeing the field so much better in the second half. The game plan that Doug Peterson put together in the second half, kudos to him. I mean, what a coaching change. What an adjustment. Go Jags. I mean, my goodness. What a game. What a freaking game.
Moments in games. So watching the very first part of that game, and you saw the interceptions happen, but you also saw the way that they responded. There was no back down and no quit. And there was a moment, they were down 24-0 at the time, and Trevor's running to the line every single play, barking out orders, being the leader of that team. And I just looked at it and I said, is there a way? They're going to come back and win this game. Trevor is going to will them to come back and win this game. And so, as we saw in our group text, I ended up taking them live on the money line. I got them at like plus 1,500 or something like that when they were down 24-0. Now they end up botching.
Bold move, Cotton.
the very next play, they as soon as I hit OK and click on it, the very next play they punt the ball, they muff the punt, they recover it, but they held them to 3. And then the end of the half, Trevor got him back going. And if you look at it, after that muff punt, right, there was there was 5 drives, right, that Trevor Lawrence had after that. They scored 4 touchdowns, right, and then they kicked the field goal to win the game. The way that they controlled the clock, the way that they managed everything, the way that the defense played, Duval was on fire, bro. Like that stadium, that environment was on fire. And talking to people, I haven't been to that stadium, but talking to people who have been there, they're like, bro, that is one of the most hostile environments that you will go to. Is being in
we've gone a long way from tarping off the upper bowl to being a hostile environment.
Ball,
you know, Buff brought up a great point on the chat. Thanks for joining us on the YouTube today, Marcus. You know, he said, how do the Chargers not run the ball, with Eckler effectively? They couldn't do anything. And they, to his point, they completely abandoned the run the second half. I mean, the first drive, they were going down there, they're running the ball efficiently. And all of a sudden they just change, and I think when you look at plays like this, right, and you look at the way that these games just turn on a dime, this is why the people think that the NFL is scripted. It's just you go from a team that's just utterly dominating another team in complete every way, shape, form, running the ball, pass efficiently, defense, everything, and then all of a sudden there's a key turn, like prevent defense, because prevent doesn't prevent anybody. They turn a key, and all of a sudden it's just like, okay, well, we just did a 180, now you're gonna win. I don't understand how it happens like that. I just don't understand it.
I'm going to say this too. There might have been a perception that they were running the ball well in the beginning, but that's because they were getting turnovers and they were on short fields, right? If you look at the numbers at the end of the day, Austin Eckler, 13 carries, 35 yards, 2.7 yards average per carry, but he did have 2 touchdowns. So if you had him in like a DFS stack or something like that, it ends up not looking as bad as what the actual numbers pointed out to be. I think the Chargers definitely miss Mike Williams, and it's very, very ironic. And listen, the other reason I took the Jags at that time is because I was fading Brandon Staley. I don't have confidence in that man at all that he's going to be able to get his team through that situation. And he didn't. He didn't. He mismanaged it, and they didn't perform. Bosa, we talk about guys keeping their composure.
Oh, my God.
Games, right? And, like, when I fried Matt LaFleur for it, right, and I fried the Green Bay Packers for the way that they acted against the Detroit Lions, the same energy needs to be done with Brandon Staley. Because did you see what happened when Bosa threw his helmet and Brandon Staley picks it up off the field and runs it over to him?
He was running. As soon as he threw it down, he sprinted for it. I thought he was sprinting to confront him, to be like, "Hey,
go, yeah."
No.
Go be a coach and tell his ass to go sit on the bench. You know what I mean? Because he's costing your team and all the other 51 guys on that roster. He's costing them, valuable chances at making a playoff run by acting like that. And it wasn't like the holds that he was complaining about were that egregious. Honestly, I didn't think so. At least.
We're definitely going to get in. We're definitely going to get into the refs today. Trust me, I have a whole segment about referees today. DJ from YouTube, thanks for joining in. It says, 22 pass plays in the second half, only 7 run plays. And, when you got that kind of a lead, I mean, that's NFL football, right? I mean, run it down your throats, the old school. And that's why I think I like, coaches like Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. And even, to the point of the Giants, with Saquon Barkley, just running the ball down people's throats. And I think that goes back to this as well. It's like, if you're up 27-0, okay, and I think going into halftime was 27-7 or something like that. And to his point,
7.5, yeah.
And to his point, you run 7 run plays in the second half. You own the clock. You own everything. Your goal is to just get first downs and eat the clock. If you have to throw it, you have to throw it. But once again, make sure it's a completion, short pass. Keep the clock running. But you run 7 run plays. I mean, I don't. Did you see in the second half when the Jags were getting?
Eric, it's not like him. Like the Jags still only had 4 possessions in the second half.
Yeah,
they were just more efficient with their 4 possessions that they had. You know what I mean?
They
matriculated the ball down the field.
Don't start bringing logic into this, okay? They screwed it up, and that's all there is to say. Speaking of the rest, which we are going to get to a whole segment on that. Did you see when Jacksonville was going to kick the field goal and they called the timeout, and the ref comes darting in and practically tackles the placeholder? Did you see this?
Yeah, I was watching the game.
Oh my God! I thought the placeholder was going to knock him out. He stood up and he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And you can see him. He's like, "Well, I can't allow you to kick the point." Oh my God! But like you said, congratulations to Duval County. Congratulations to Jacksonville. It's been a poverty franchise for so long. They're relevant. Hats off to Doug Peterson for what he's done to that program, turning them around. Looking forward to do we know who they play next week?
Yeah, this is what I want to get to. I originally going into that game, I thought, man, I want Jacksonville to win, but I don't think Kansas City is that great. And I think that the Chargers might have had a better opportunity to beat Kansas City. After watching the Jaguars in the second half of that game, I think the Jaguars might go into Kansas City and beat them.
Woo! Bold predictions on a Friday from Off the Schneid.
Absolutely. I absolutely think, because I don't think Kansas City's defense is any good anyway. And if Jacksonville, we've seen it, when Jacksonville can smell a little bit of fear in the other team, they turn it on. So the DBs are going to have to play well.
I think that goes again. Just which team's going to show up? Is it going to be the first half team or the second half team? And I think that's just a theme of the NFL is which team's going to show up. Speaking of which team's going to,
where Trevor.
Hold on, you cut out there. Your bandwidth is dropping. What'd you say there?
No, did you see where Trevor decided to go have his meal after the game?
I did. Waffle House. Showed the wife. Always try.
Waffle House.
Always tried to go to Waffle House. Wife never wants to go to Waffle House. I'm like, Waffle House is some of the best food ever. Give me a Waffle House over, one of these 15-course fufu, Waffle House, baby. All American, side of country ham, maybe a couple of chocolate chips on the waffle. Trust me, it's a very, very good dish. Very good dish.
Waffle House over caviar?
Yeah,
is that what I heard?
Absolutely. So speaking of which teams are going to show up, which are not, let's get into this Dolphins-Bills game. And there ain't nobody that thought this game was going like this. This brings us back to my other point. Skylar Thompson off the couch coming in to Buffalo and is going to, put the screws to him. That's right, off the couch. And for everything that we've good said about Miami's head coach and everything, my God, he screwed up the end of this game. The inability to get the plays called in. Now, whether that's, again, you got a rookie QB that hasn't got the snaps, hasn't had the time to get the plays in. The fact that they couldn't get plays in and had to burn their timeouts is just, it killed them. It absolutely killed them. And Miami should have won that game. And it's just, I don't know. The Bills, I think, just got put on notice that they are exposed. I think all of these teams, which we're going to get in, obviously, the Bengals later, all of these top-tier teams that played all got exposed. They are not the juggernauts we thought that they were. They're good football teams, but they can be beat. And I think Miami put out a nice playbook for that, for whoever plays the Bills next. Skylar Thompson, he made some mistakes, obviously, as a rookie, but, he did enough. And I really feel like the coaching in Miami really, really hindered them in that game.
So, in fairness to Mike McDaniel, he did say that the reason on that fourth down is that the officials initially ruled that it was a first down. They said it was first down, and then they came back and said, oh, never mind, it's fourth down. So he thought he was putting in a first down play call. They had to switch personnel, try to get other people in. Listen, end of the day, you still got to get the play in. It doesn't matter. We can sit here and make excuses. He failed on his job as a coach. Now, when you say Skylar Thompson, you're talking about the guy who went 18 of 45?
Yeah, why not?
18 of 45.
Why not?
Terrible. Skylar Thompson is not an NFL quarterback. He can't throw the ball. He can run a little bit, I guess. I don't know. He had 2 carries for 3 yards.
Were the Dolphins in a position to win that game?
Yeah, but we're not putting that on that Skylar Thompson led them to do that.
I didn't say that. I said he did enough to put the Dolphins in a position to win that game versus Josh Allen and the mighty Buffalo Bills at home in 20-degree weather. He did enough to put the Dolphins in a position to win.
Sure. Listen, if the Dolphins have any quarterback other than Skylar Thompson, then they win the football game. Hands down. There's no question about it. And it'll be very interesting to see Buffalo and what they do next week. I think that game's going to be very interesting. I don't know, man. I don't know about Buffalo. Let's see. We'll see if, like I said, we'll see if what's his name, Poyer comes back or whatever. But they don't run the ball that well, except for Josh Allen. He still threw for 352. He takes way too many chances. Takes, I think TJ pointed out, takes so many deep shots. Like, it's almost too many deep shots, right?
Well, you got Stephon Diggs and some of the other.
Turns the ball over in the red zone. Like he fumbles. He fumbles all the time. He misses Brian Daboll. He does. I've been saying it all year. He's not the same guy that he was last year with Brian Daboll. And look at what Brian Daboll has now done. With Daniel Jones, and I'm sure we'll get into that as well too. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. Something's wrong. Something's off.
Well, I think it's just like you said. It's first year, new offensive coordinator, different system. How about Cole Beasley signing, huh? How about Cole Beasley, the little guy, getting in there, making some stuff happen?
Yeah. Caught a touchdown. Yeah, 2 catches, 35 yards.
He had some very, very important plays. Very important plays. I think it's the same thing. It's just Josh Allen, when you got Stephon Diggs and, one of the best receivers in the game, he throws a lot of jump balls and Stephon comes down with them. And, I think we saw a few of them where he went in. And as he continues down in the playoffs and the coverage and the corners get better and better, you're going to see those plays not become successful as they were in the season, which I think we saw some of that here in the game against Miami. But again, I feel like the Dolphins showed you how you can beat him. So regardless of what you say about, Skylar Thompson, and obviously he's not the best quarterback to be on the field. He obviously is not their starter. Came off the couch.
Terrible.
Came off the couch. No reps. No NFL snaps. Still went into Buffalo. He did have a bad game, according to you, and he didn't win. Bottom line. But I think what he also did, not Skylar, but the Dolphins did, is they exposed the playbook on how to beat the Bills. Because to your point, if you have a Tua, if you have, anybody else that has the snaps, the repetition, doesn't have the nerves and hits the spots, they would have won that game, as you just said. So therefore, if they did nothing else, they exposed how to beat the Bills. And, going against the Bengals, I don't know, man. You're right, TJ. There were some drops. That Waddle drop was huge.
Drop was huge.
But
TJ's right about that. Waddle drop was...
That was big. That was a big moment.
With Waddle lately, too. Like, Waddle's had some not great plays the past few weeks as well. I don't know.
I don't know.
That game will be interesting. I mean, look, whatever the over is on that game, I'm taking it. I don't care. Buffalo and Cincinnati, that's going to be an up and down 38-35. Who's got the ball last? I have no idea who's going to win the game.
I don't know. Which we'll get into the Bengals in a little bit, but the Bengals offense to me, I don't know. We're going to get that. Let's get back to the NFC and the game that I was looking forward to the most out of the NFC, the Giants and the Vikings. And we were talking about on Monday that I said that the Vikings were a fraud from day one. However, I did pick them to beat the Giants. I was wrong. And Kirk Cousins is going to Kirk Cousins. I mean, there's just no way to describe. The guy is such a talent. And he reminds me a lot of Jay Cutler. Great arm strength, great talent, just not a good decision maker. And, the refs and stuff really on that game, were brought to light again. Not calling the false start on the Giants. They ended up getting a touchdown, which was obviously egregious. And we're going to talk a little bit after the Ravens about it. But, the announcers to talk about the refs also letting them play. Like, there was so much holding, grabbing, pulling, tugging, stuff that you don't see. Now, that's old school football, and I like that. But when you don't call it like that for the entire year, and then the very first game you're going to change the rules, it's just a bad look. I did text my cousin during the middle of that, and as a Bears fan, and the rumors of Saquon going to Chicago, which I previously said I didn't want, I admit it. The way Saquon ran that ball that game, I'd like him on my backfield. I think that the Giants put together almost a complete package to beat the Vikings. And I think that the Giants put the NFC on notice that they're here, and you know what? They're going to compete. And I think that they have a legitimate shot.
Well, why you would ever not want Saquon Barkley on your team as your running back? I mean, the guy goes
he's
for
been
100
hurt
yards from scrimmage basically every single game. Yeah, but I mean,
he's been hurt his whole career. How many games has he actually played? Obviously, he is a generational talent if he's healthy. But, also the Bears are coming off. They have the number one rushing. Obviously, a lot of that to do with Justin Fields. But, I think that's the biggest thing is he's been hurt his entire career. And you're going to pay more. You got David Montgomery. You got Saquon Barkley. Which one are you going to pay more for? Which one more is going to eat more of your cap room, your salary? That's to my point. When the productivity is going to be relative. Obviously, Saquon's going to get more, but I think overall it's going to be relative. That was my point to that. And plus, when you add the relativity of the yards and stuff like that, and then with the injuries, that's why I said I'd rather just keep him. But he impressed me thoroughly yesterday. The way he ran that ball, my goodness, he looked like Ray Jennings coming off draft day.
Interesting game. First of all, if Brian Daboll is not coach of the year, I don't know who is. Because he did, with the exact same talent that Joe Judge had, he basically turned that team around and has them going into Philly on a heater right now. And if you're telling me, if you watch that Week 18 game of the Giants and Philly, and you're telling me that the Giants don't have confidence because of that game, when they played none of their starters, and Philly was all out trying to win the game, and they hung with them the entire time, and Philly coming off of a bye now. Listen, I know Philly's going to be getting healthy. They get Lane Johnson back. They get the Madden kid back or Maddox. I'm sorry, the DB as well too. But man, New York can just run the ball down your throat over and over again, and they get enough pressure where it's going to hurt Jalen Hurts a little bit as well too. I feel like Daniel Jones continues to be absolutely lights out. 78 yards rushing. He had 301 yards passing. 301 yards passing. I want to give you real quick the pass catchers that Daniel Jones had, right? Isaiah Hodgins, he's come on really strong lately. Next year, fantasy, might be an interesting play. Darius Slayton, Richie James, Daniel Bellinger, Lawrence Cager. Okay? That is who Daniel Jones is working with and making it work with. All right?
Hodgins had a great game.
Great game. Great.
Never saw that coming.
Perfect.
I picked Slayton in my daily. I picked Slayton on the daily for the value, but Hodgins just blew me away. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Give me even that, the coaching aspect of that, recognizing talent, putting talent in the position to be successful. That's the key to the NFL, and that's what Daboll does. Listen, I don't think Kirk was bad. If you look at his numbers, everything was just short. It was really weird. And then of course, fitting the very last play. He throws a 3-yard out on, 4th down that doesn't even get to the sticks. Just very fitting Kirk Cousins shit, if I'm being honest.
I mean, and that is.
His numbers, it was 31 of 39. I mean, he threw for 273. He didn't turn the ball over. I don't.
Well, let me give it. Let me give you the one stat line that I think describes. You have Justin Jefferson, 7 for 47, with an average of 6.7. 6.7, the least of all of the receivers. And we've talked about this, and we talked about it with the Bucs as well, which we're going to get into. They didn't spread the field. And it was amazing to me that the pregame commentary, the viewers or the guys that were doing the calling, whatever, said exactly that. Justin Jefferson is going to get his touches, but the Giants are going to keep him short touches. And they're gonna execute it to where he's not gonna get any deep balls. And lo and behold, 6.7 average for Justin Jefferson, your deep threat. If you can't extend the ball behind Dalvin Cook running the ball, you're not going to win football games. It goes back to the dink and dunk. Now, again, they did put up big numbers, obviously. They put up 24 points. You know, they had a touchdown every consecutive quarter between the first three. But when you got Justin Jefferson, who absolutely annihilated them the last game, absolutely just ran all over them, and then you hold him to 47 yards in this game, I think that's just a hats off to the Giants. And again, like you're saying, the Giants coaching, the game plan, we know it. You've got one person. It always amazes me because I get to see the the Vikings at least twice a year against the Bears. And it always amazes me when you have their best player, Justin Jefferson or Travis Kelce, and they end up getting 160 yards on you. Like they have one player that is just absolutely head and shoulders above everyone else. Shut down that one player. Make somebody else beat you. And that's what the Giants did. The Giants shut down Justin Jefferson. They made somebody else beat him. Hawkinson did showed up big on a lot of the crossing routes.
Still the weirdest trade to me. I still don't understand that trade.
Yeah.
Like, why did the Lions send him to the Vikings in the division? It still boggles my mind. I don't know. And now, going forward, like, as long as the Vikings just focus on defense, right? Defense and line, all your other pieces are in place. I mean, you have Dalvin Cook, great running back. You have Hawkinson, great tight end. You have JJ, who's arguably the best receiver in the NFL.
So what do you do with 30 of the Vikings? Okay, so you put together this team which played very, very well. They were 11-0 in single possession games this season, which obviously that's a huge number. But that could also go the other way. Now. Yeah, 11-1. And, as somebody, again, that watched them in the division, I said all along, they're frauds. And when you have Kirk Cousins going against, running the ship, again, guys got talent, can play, but at the end of the day, he's not the quarterback you're putting your money on to win the team. So then now I'm the Minnesota Vikings. I've got all the pieces except for the clutch guy. What do you do? Do you still keep riding with Kirk Cousins? I mean, he's proven over and over again in every different franchise he's not the guy. Do you trade for Derek Carr? What are you going to do?
No. I think you go draft a quarterback. Well, but I don't think you do it until next year. So
that's what I'm saying. You look at, like I said, you went 13-4, and I said from the beginning, 13-4 to go out in the first round. I'd rather have the number one pick. I'd rather be dog shit all year long than get my ass whooped in the first round of the playoffs. Now, they didn't get there.
About that. They gave you 17 weeks of happiness. You know what I mean? Like, you're really going to compare that?
At the end of the day, you're sitting on the couch 1 week later. That's it. It's all or nothing. It's a feast or famine league. You either win me a Super Bowl or get in line for your next draft pick.
I mean, that's how you view it. That's not really how I view it.
That's how most people feel. What's the point?
They're entitled to their opinion.
That'd be like going.
Entitled to their opinion.
Let's go 15-0. So let me ask you a question. If your team goes, hold on, hold your horses, hold your horses, hold your horses.
That was an unsuccessful season because they lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the biggest letdowns in football history. One of the biggest. What's the point? Okay, you go 16-0 and you lose the first round. What's the point?
One of the greatest offenses of all time. I mean,
and they couldn't get it done.
Who cares? We still remember them. It's not like we forget about them.
It doesn't matter.
The history books.
Ah, whatever. It's like Billy Beane said. If we don't win the last game, everything that we're doing here doesn't matter. It all gets discredited if you don't win the last game of the series.
Were you on to Baltimore?
I don't know. I'm still a little fired up about this.
You got it. You got
All
it.
right. Good luck, G-Man. Good luck, G-Man. All right, let's get on to this disappointment of the Ravens and the Bengals. Whew, what a shit show. All right. The Ravens, in my opinion, were the better team. And obviously there were some mistakes. The Bengals are exposed as well. I don't know. I don't know. That game to me was so wishy-washy that I lost interest for a while. I can't remember what I did. Cincinnati puts up 9 points in the first half. You're supposed to be one of the offensive juggernauts. Maybe that's that Roquan Smith Ravens defense that's just shutting them down. But
it is that Ravens Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen defense that's shutting them down.
Okay.
Continue.
To beat a team 3 times is obviously extremely tough. And, I think if they have Lamar Jackson, they win that game. Now, of course, everybody thinks if they have Lamar Jackson, they win that game. But again, we don't really fault Lamar Jackson for what he's doing.
No.
But on the same token, if you were a Ravens fan, that's got to be a tough pill to swallow. One of the biggest takeaways that I got from this game, and it didn't even have to do with the game or the people playing, is these stupid ass in-game interviews. So after, I believe it was the first quarter, this chick gets Harbaugh on the sidelines. Well, how's everything going for you, John? Or Jim, or whatever. You guys are sucking out there, huh? Well, what do you think about that? He's like, well, we're going to be all right. Well, you did say something about a quarterback change, huh? Yeah, okay. Well, you threw an interception. What do you think? And he looks at her and he's like, we'll evaluate as it goes on. And you can see him when he's walking away being like, what is this chick talking about? In-game interviews, whether it be baseball, basketball, hockey, are the stupidest thing that media could create. You just asked a man playing for the playoffs to go to another round to try to win the Super Bowl after the first quarter and his second string made one error, throwing one interception. And I believe the score at that point was 3-0, whether he's ready to make a quarterback change. First of all, you're not privy to that information. Why are we trying to pull this information out of coaches in the middle of a game? Tensions are high. Praise him for keeping his composure, because he didn't start to lose it until he started to walk away. That was still on camera. But if that was me in that point, I don't know. I look at him and be like, go away. Like, what are we doing here? Are we so involved that we need to get up players and coaches' asses to get up into their brains every step of the way that we're really going to do this type of interviewing? I thought it was tasteless. I thought it was terrible. And, honestly, if I never saw another in-game interview, I'd be okay with that.
Double-edged sword here, right? It's a little bit of a double-edged sword, because when you look at it, we want all the access we can get to players. And, some of the best, in-game stuff that I see is when they have the players mic'd up in baseball in the outfield, and they're running around making plays and stuff. That stuff's great. I agree with you. There is a time and a place for everything. And maybe in the middle of a playoff game after the first quarter, maybe she shouldn't have asked those questions. But
let me ask you a question.
She has a job to do. She has a job to do, and she's told to go and get the soundbite.
First of all, who's this we? We want all this access. Okay.
Fans, uninformed fans.
Uninformed
Literally.
fans. You don't have a right, uninformed fan. That's number one. Number two, when you're talking to an outfielder in the middle of a baseball game, you're out there saying, well, Mike, what do you think is going to happen if you hit the ball to you? What is your next play? Are you going to throw it to third? Are you going to throw it to second? They're out there asking, hey, Mike Trout, did you have Cheetos before the game today? And if so, did you wash it down with the Red Bull? Like, it's more of banter.
So do you think that Harbaugh would have reacted better if she walked up and said, hey, John, how'd the first quarter go? Did you have Cheetos before the game today and a Red Bull?
Well, first of all, I don't think she should be asking him anything.
That's what you think?
I think she shouldn't have been asking anything. You're in the heat of the moment. It's the same thing in college football where the guy's getting his ass kicked the first half, trying to run off the field to game plan, and he has to stop and give 3 media interviews on the way out about how shitty his team was the first half. Like, no.
I want to say this. A few things, okay, about this game. I'm moving off of that topic right now. I want to talk about the game. Baltimore has a very good defense. They will continue to have a very good defense going forward. They got to figure out what they're going to do at quarterback, obviously. I think a place like Baltimore for Derek Carr might actually be fine. You don't have to do too much. You're not asked to do a lot. Don't turn the ball over. They should have given J.K. Dobbins more run. He looked great out there. You already have, it's set up. Mark Andrews, great tight end. Going forward, Baltimore is going to be just fine. The only reason that Cincinnati struggled is because they played Baltimore. Okay? Cincinnati, their offense is still going to be fine going forward. I think this Bills game is going to be fireworks. I mean, I'm talking about all-time highest scoring playoff games ever. It's going to be crazy. When I look at the Bengals, and I did a double take because I was listening to the broadcast and I didn't really put two and two together, but they said, oh no, Cincinnati's top corner, Eli Apple, is down on the field. I
had a chuckle on that one.
When Eli Apple is the number one corner on your team, you got problems, buddy. Okay? Let me speak out how Eli Apple is going to go guard Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs next week. You're telling me Josh Allen ain't going to just light that mother sucker up, bro.
Hey, I looked at my wife.
Game, bro.
I looked at my wife, right? And a lot of times she doesn't really pay attention. And but I'm getting old. My hearing isn't, what it is. And frankly, I'm just an idiot half the time. I look over, I go, hey, did they just say Eli Apple was their number one corner? And she's like, yeah. And even she knows about Eli Apple because I've dogged him so much from the Saints. I think he was on the Giants before that. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe he's improved over these years. But all I remember from Eli Apple is that he's dog shit and that nobody wanted him on the team. But then every time I saw the Saints sign Eli Apple, I'm like, okay, well, okay. And then obviously the bank, I'm like, okay. I only remember him getting torched. So maybe that's just the uninformed fan in me, and not being able to pay attention. But I got a good chuckle out of that one as well.
Listen, if Lamar Jackson is there, Baltimore definitely wins that game, and Baltimore has a chance to make a deep run. Lamar Jackson had to do what's best for Lamar Jackson. RG3 tweeted out that picture of him, when people say, put a brace on it and get out there. Okay, well, remember RG3 put a brace on it and went out there, and what happened? His career was over. Okay?
Well,
you have to look out for yourself, especially when you haven't been paid yet.
I also want to preface the RG3's career was already going down before that. I do want to just say that. He's not at the pinnacle like Lamar Jackson is.
I'm just saying that you need to, as players, especially somebody who doesn't have a guaranteed contract.
Oh, we're 100% agreement on this.
Off that first contract, there's no shot.
100%.
The tweet that he sent out, everything. I respect Lamar a lot. I wish him nothing but the best, and I hope he goes and gets paid somewhere.
And that's what we talked about as well. Is it's unfortunate that we feel like we need that information in order to determine a fan whether or not we want to shit on him for not playing or not. But that's really where we're at. As a fandom, as a fanhood, like I referenced the Jay Cutler thing, and when he didn't play in the playoffs, the fact that he put that out there, I think everybody, at least, I'm not in Ravens Nation, but I think that, everybody at least when they were Ravens was like, okay, we get it. And that's it. And I think that shut down a lot of chatter right then and there.
It's interesting, though. They had their Seahawks moment there, right? All you got to do is hand the ball off to J.K. Dobbins. He's going to dive into the end zone. You're just going to score a touchdown. Instead, we're going to try this thing with Huntley. He gets the ball stripped from him. It runs for 98 yards. There was a block in the back they didn't call. The funniest thing, if you can go back and watch that, is watching the officials go to take off and try to run stride for stride with these guys. Homie, it is hilarious to watch. We got to, set it to music or something. It is just unbelievable.
All right. Well, before we get to our final piece, we talked a lot about blown calls. We talked a lot about missed block in the back, this, that, and the other. This is something as an uninformed fan that I've just realized not too long ago, that the refs in the NFL are part-time employees. That they go work their regular jobs during the week, then they fly to the games and referee on the weekends. Now, to me, this is the most asinine thing that I think that I've ever heard. And going back and thinking about all of the times that a referee has decided the outcome of an NFL game makes more and more sense to me. There has to be a way with the billions that the NFL brings in. You cannot tell me that we can't afford to pay them. Now, on the same token, I understand what you were saying. It's only one day a week. There's only 18, games in a season. whatever. You're telling me that they can't spend 2 days VOD reviewing, not only VOD reviewing their games, VOD reviewing other games to see what a proper hold is, what a proper pass interference call is. You're telling me that these refs can't be utilized at teams, at team camp, to help the players understand what a hold is, what a pass interference is, what a damn roughing the passer is, which there was one of those we didn't even get to call to talk about, where the guy literally just tackled him on top of himself and got called for roughing the passer. Another shit call.
The one on Kirk Cousins?
I believe that was it. Yes, Yes, it was towards the end and extended the drive. That was not a I'm just hold on. Let me finish this point, and then we'll get into it. It's just the fact of these games are absolutely decided by referees, whether you like it or not. The fact of when they call something or when they don't call something absolutely determines the outcomes of these games. And the NFL has not figured out a way to really solidify it. And it's not something that gets better every year, in my opinion. It's something that we consistently talk about over and over and over and over and over since the beginning of football. It's time for the NFL to make a commitment to the education of players, referees, front office, league officials to get these guys more opportunities to understand exactly what the rules are and to get everybody on the same page. There's a reason why one NFL referee's team throws the flag 5 times more often than another one. It shouldn't be that way. To me, it's a disgrace. You know, you got Bob that works at the DMV 5 days a week and then flies out and calls one of the most important penalties on the most important playoff games that screws one team all the way over. Not to mention the billions of money that's on betting on it. To me, I think I'm just flabbergasted. I'm flabbergasted by the fact that that's the way it works.
When I mentioned that to you, what was that, last episode or the episode before? One of the two, and the look on your face was like, "There's no way," and I'm like, "Yeah, bro, they're part-time employees." I'm sure there's some kind of also legal why they have part-time employees as referees. I think the networks have done a better job when you introduce guys like Dean Blandino and Mike Ferreira and these other guys who are there, who are able to make sense of it for us uninformed fans, right? When we're watching the game and we're like, well, why is that call and this and this? At least they have somebody there to process you through it. There should 100% be like, you know, the refs should definitely go through more vigorous processes. I think it gets interesting though, like when you start talking about watching game film or prepping yourself for a team that's going to be playing, like, does that, like, little bits and tidbits of information that get into your head, does that then dictate the way that you're going to rep that game, as opposed to just watching it, you know, for the first time and being completely unbiased and fair when you see it? They're all great points. I don't know what the proper answer is to get it done. That Kirk Cousins call, I was talking with TJ about this earlier. I don't know if, is it still, and I don't know the NFL rule on it, but he got hit in the head, right, with the guy's arm.
Give me a break.
So
dude.
Technically, well, I'm just saying technically, by the book, I understand there should be situational calls for whatever it is. I'm just saying technically,
well, see, that's the point.
In there that if he gets hit in the head by somebody's arm, you know, listen, the other thing with the refs too, I noticed it immediately after the first few games. I'm like, they are literally letting them hand check, battle, hold, grab. It's like they sent out a memo before the playoffs started.
Well, they do.
Said, listen,
they do.
Let's ease up on this. Let's focus on this.
They do. They absolutely do.
Which it makes me, I don't know how to. It makes me more nervous for tonight's game for the Bucs, because I think Mike gets a lot of those calls, right, where a guy grabs him and, you know, the pass might not be there, but Mike finds a way to draw that flag. Will Mike get those calls tonight? You know,
I don't know. Obviously, we're going to dive into that, but it is definitely known. It's the same thing with any sport, NBA, anything. Come playoffs, they let them play more. And to me, that is the most bass-ackwards logic that you could ever have, because you have gotten them. You've gotten players accustomed to calling fouls and stuff a certain way throughout the entire season, and then now you're going to say, well, no, that's not a foul anymore. I just think that it's just a bad scenario. It's just a bad scenario. And like I said, you got different refs that call different things, and the whole quarterback, being on a cushy pillow. I understand that they're the face of the NFL. Nobody wants to see a quarterback get hurt. But if I'm a 6'5", 400-pound lineman and I'm coming in trying to block a play, and my arm just happens to come down, because guess what? Gravity, it comes down. It can't stay up there the whole time. It's got to come down, and it nicks the side of a helmet. That's a penalty. Get out of here. This is a full contact sport.
Listen, I understand, and TJ told me that they changed the rule. We were talking earlier, and he said that's exactly why they changed the rules, what you just said. You're going to tip a pass, your hands come down, you accidentally hit a quarterback in the head, and they throw the flag. He did just send me something that I just opened up right here, and I forget seeing the numbers on it, but they said the average NFL salary is for a referee is around $205,000. Now, they get paid per game on their bonuses and stuff like that. And you obviously are going to get a lot more when you work these playoff games and Super Bowls and stuff like that. That's when you really get paid. I'd be interested to see what the number is. Let's see if I can find it.
I thought I saw something like in the playoffs. It was like $6,500 a game.
Per game. Yeah. Correct. Right. So you get the money per game. I'm wondering what they get per game regular season. Because if they get $6,500 per game in the playoffs,
it's like $2,500, $2,500, $3,000.
Yeah, they're getting like $2,500 a game. That's like one unit for some people.
Right. So
that's like one of 15 bets that somebody makes on a Sunday.
But a great point. Now that betting is involved, and if a ref's making $2,500 a game, and some dude goes, "Hey, I'll give you $100,000 to do this,"
right?
I mean, now on the same token, even if he was making $100,000 to do something else is something. But I just think that every season, okay, obviously MLB, they're all full-time employees, but MLB still has 5 months off, 4 months off, to where those umps still get paid. There's no way that this can't be done to not only improve the officiating for the game, but I think just to solidify just across the board, calls being calls. That's all. And the fact that it's, again, I manage a McDonald's during the week, and on the weekends I call NFL games. I mean, I'm living the fucking dream, baby. All right.
Guy's doing my taxes on Tuesday, and he's over here, chatting it up with Patty Mahomes on Sunday.
Yeah, the guy's handing out his CPA card on Sundays. Hey, come see me on the weekdays, boys. I do your taxes.
You just walk up to the center and you're like, "Hey, can you pass these out for me?"
I make you very good deal. Very good deal. The other guy's going around it. What are all these business cards on the field? Oh, you saw those, huh? Come check me out. I do taxes.
Right.
I don't know. Well, let's get down to it. The nitty gritty, the moment we've all been waiting for. Tampa Tom, Monday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys in Tampa. It's going to be chilly, but there's going to be fire on the field. I don't know which team's going to show up. I really don't. Jensen, we just got the notification. Jensen's off the IR. He's eligible to play tonight. If he's healthy and he wants to play, you got to play him.
Start center.
Yeah, I mean, you got to play him. Again, I tweeted out to Tom and Mike this morning. I said, guys, no matter what happens on the field, have fun tonight. Just have fun. Play the game like you played it when you were a kid. Have fun. Throw the rock around. Have a good time with it. And just beat the Cowboys. I mean, it's just that simple. Beat the Cowboys. Everybody is saying that, the Bucs don't have a chance, that the Cowboys have the better roster. And overall, they probably do. But I think you're forgetting one thing, and that's playoff Tom. That's playoff Tom. The only thing that scares me is that he's like 8-0 against the Cowboys. That scares the shit out of me. Just like 11-0 during one possession games. There's going to be that time when that 0 goes to a 1. And again, I don't know. I don't know what team's going to show up. I'd like to say that the Tampa, I think it's going to be a hell of a game. Myself and Jeffrey are both going to head down there. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. I think this game is a coin flip, 100% coin flip.
Excited. I think this is the beginning of the Bucs Super Bowl run, of another Super Bowl run. when I watched the Bucks play the first 3 games of the year, right, and we didn't have Godwin and things were just off.
Julio.
Whoever that guy is. I said that I had never been more confident that we were winning the Super Bowl than right then and there. The way that our defense can stand up and play, this is only the first time since week 4 that we're going to have everybody healthy in the secondary, which will be big for us. You know, guarding CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup and, you know, now T.Y. Hilton as well, too, who they got over there. I think Schultz is going to be a little bit of an interesting matchup for us. I think Brady comes out. I think he's going to light it up a little bit. We're moving Hainsey to left guard. You're going to have Jensen at center. You got Shaq Mason on right guard, Wirfs and Smith on the ends. You know, hopefully these holding things will actually benefit us with Donovan Smith. You know, that way, you know, we may miss some of those penalties if he's allowed to hold, because that's all he does. I think the Bucks come out, and I think the Bucks win. The Cowboys don't play well off of turf as well, too, and I don't think they're really a big cold weather football team when it comes down to it as well. I just see Dak not playing well tonight again. We're going to light him up. Light him up! Let's go, baby. Come on.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, Buff, if you're still in here. You know, Cowboy fans, you know, I saw something that was posted the other day about how Dak thinks it's crazy that Mike McCarthy could be coaching for his job. And, you know, I commented on it. I said, well, you're playing for your job too, bro. Like, I don't think that Dallas Nation has faith in Dak. And
No.
for probably a good reason. He's the Kirk Cousins of the, you know, there it is. He puts up great stats, great numbers, but when it comes time to do it, it just doesn't happen for whatever reason. I think that the Dallas run game is not what it used to be. I think that to your point though, the Bucks have to come out and they have to score and they have to get a lead immediately. They have to take the pressure off that defense, and we've seen it before, where the Bucks get up and they're running and gunning, boom, they're scoring. Then the defense is more aggressive, and that's the bread and butter. My biggest question is who's calling the plays? Is it a Tom Brady game plan? Is it a Byron game plan? Are we gonna are we gonna be dinking and dunking again, or is Tampa Tom gonna be a little little light on the feet back there, a little scared, you know, trying to get rid of the ball in 1.2 seconds, you know, basically hot potato. I don't know, because I think when you get into those hot potatoes, that's when you get those tip balls, the slants, you know, that's when turnovers come in. I just need Tampa Tom to come in, and I need him to calm the team down. You've been there. You are the GOAT. You have a bazillion rings. You have more rings than J-Lo. Like, that's something. You have more rings than J-Lo. Bring them all in, set them all down in front of everybody, and just say, we got this. And I don't know. If I was a rookie in there, and Tampa Tom comes in, and all of his rings are sitting right there, and he looks at us and says, if we execute the fundamentals and we do the things that we know that we can do, we're going to put another one right there. It starts tonight. I'd run through a fucking brick wall. Buff says...
There are. Go ahead. What does Buff say?
Buff says that they do not have confidence in Dak. And if we win, it's going to be because of our D and making Tom uncomfortable. And I 100%. But I do believe that you are going to have a couple of those big plays. Cowboys are going to get a couple of those big plays in. I do believe that.
There are certain conspiracy theorists that say that basically Byron Leftwich and Tom Brady have been tanking the entire season because they knew they were going to win the division. And so they haven't wanted to put anything on paper out there for these other coaches to see and be able to, you know, strategize against. And then now I guess tonight we'll see a bunch of motion pre-snap and play action passes and not running the ball every first down. We'll see if they're right. If they're right. That's
a bold move, Cotton.
There to see it. So, you know, we're going to be there to see it one way or another. We're either going to have a long drive home, or you're going to have a long walk back to your hotel, or it's going to be a really short drive and it's going to be very happy and elation. So
either way, I'm going to be absolutely tanked. So, I mean, you just never know. But back to that point, you know, I find that strategy of not putting anything on paper is very interesting, considering they almost didn't win the division. That's how it closed.
Correct. But the conspiracy theorists say that when it became the division in question, and especially in the second half of that Carolina game, then you saw what the Bucs offense can be.
Correct.
I'm
You
not saying I believe
you did see that, and a lot of analysts were saying, why haven't you been doing this motion stuff all year long? You can see what happens when it comes. Why haven't you done it? I find that very hard to believe because once again, it goes back to the repetitions, right? So if I'm running an offense like this and I'm not doing anything, but yet in practice I'm running something else, I'm just immediately thinking that translate on the field and we're going to dominate. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is my boy Kyle Trask is getting some very, very good information to soak in for when he takes the reins in a few years because Tom's coming back. It all starts tonight. The Super Bowl run starts tonight. The Super Bowl goes through Tampa and Tampa Tom. Have fun out there tonight, boys.
I have an honest question for you before we finish. Could this be your last ever game as a Bucs fan?
No, because I have season tickets for next year too. Because they wouldn't let me out of it.
They got him. Hook, line, and sinker.
Got him. Yeah. No, they got me for next year. But the Bears are coming to Tampa next year anyway. So whatever. We'll deal with that. But yes. I don't know. I mean, Trask is still under contract, so I mean, I don't see he's going to be traded anywhere. So I'll still be there in my number 2 jersey, rooting for the team. But yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I think it's going to be a great game tonight. It's going to be chilly. It's going to be awesome. Let's just hope that we get what we pay for, and that is just a great game between two teams. If Tampa decides they want to turn it on and slaughter them, I'm okay with that as well. There's going to be a lot of Dallas fans in there tonight, man. That's the only thing that bothers me.
Like 60-40 is what I hear. 40% Dallas fans.
That's a lot. That's the only things that bothers me about the transit town of Tampa, Florida. And I have tickets. I do sell my tickets to some of them. There's a lot of Dallas fans looking for tickets, even last minute. And that's a big advantage that I think that we don't have at Tampa. A lot of games and a lot of important games. That's the only thing that scares me is whether or not we're going to have that true home field advantage. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully, Tommy and the boys bring it home. Jeffrey, as always, it's been a great day with you. Can't wait. We'll link up down in Tampa. We'll have a couple high noons for the game.
You can have the high noons. I'm going to stick with what I drink. That's okay, though.
You hear that, Davey? I'm a high noon guy. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Marcus, TJ, thanks a lot for the comments. Anybody else, make sure you drop a follow. All the socials are down there. We're live Mondays, Fridays, 11 o'clock. If we do change the schedule, it'll be tweeted out. Thanks for joining in, everybody.